Welcome everyone. I'm Alexander Mihalcha, and today we're joined by Neville Bell, Managing Director of Solmatix Ltd. Thank you for being here. Before we dive in, could you give us a quick overview of what Solmatix does?
Sun was founded in eight on a family farm very close to our headquarters. We design, supply, install and maintain predominantly solar PV that's used for creating DC electricity converted into AC that's used in our homes and businesses. And we're working both in the Northern Ireland sector, the Ireland sector, and all over GB mainland. We pride ourselves on quality, and we have a strong customer network and a track record. I've been in the industry for 17 years.
All right, okay, that's fascinating. And what inspired you to create Solmatix? Was there a something specific moment or experience that sparked this journey?
My cousin was a chartered mechanical engineer that patented many products in the industry for other users, and he looked at solar for his own home. And at that time, in 2008, when renewables was not even looked upon, he designed and patented a mounting system to sell into the trade on online sales. It then quickly changed to a full design, supply and install, mainly in the domestic sector, to be able to allow customers to be able to, let's say, transition to green energy, renewable technologies, and make that user interface as simple and as easy as possible.
Okay, and was your background before starting this venture?
So I'm an electrician by trade. Whenever I left school, I was an electrician, trained to be an electrician, and then moved into electronic security industry, and progressed then to Solmatix, where I would have developed and drove the sales element of the business to be able to grow it into the market leader that it is today. So I've been very much hands on from can do positive approach and understand the technical regulation, electrical requirement. That's very much at the heart of what we're doing as an engineering company that's electrically focused and working obviously in the electrical market with providing, I want to say, a renewable source of electricity from solar PV.
Okay, I get it. So let's go back to when you first started. What major challenges or gaps did you see in the market that you made you think this needs to be solved?
There in circa 2010, there was solar PV grants announced and solar thermal grants announced to the market, predominantly in the domestic phase, for to be able to uh, achieve renewable or carbon reduction targets. And we set about putting a team together in place to be able to deliver and provide solar and renewable opportunities and products, whether it be solar PV, whether it be solar thermal, stroke solar water. That's what we set out the team to go from, and we went from strength to strength. It was always prided ourselves on quality, delivering for our customers, customer reputation, stroke the Solmatix experience. So it's been always service, whether it be here engagement from that initial phone call, email, right through to a happy Solmatix customer that refers a friend, a family member, another, I want to say, business colleague, anything like that. Our business has been very strong in their referral reputation, and it's now its reputation goes before it with that proven track record of 17 years in the industry, and we pride ourselves as being the longest established customer and providing those. And the market today is very much evolving in EV, battery storage, and solar PV is very much a sought after requirement with the price and the how volatile the market can be at times in the electricity market. So we're all about making sure that the transition to renewable energy and reducing people's overhead stroke demand of cost for their business is being able to be controlled by installing solar PV and been getting that return on investment for the least amount of money invested upon the product. We're not about install how big your roof is and how big your budget is. What can we how can we provide that service and help in the simplest and easiest way possible?
Okay, that's very, very interesting. Could you elaborate on why the existing solutions weren't meeting these needs?
The existing solutions today, the market is very much geared to being, especially in the, I'm going to say the UK market, 80% renewables by 2030 and achieving net zero by 2050. So it not only will it be achieved by solar PV, there'll be wind turbine, all various different sources of renewable technology, offshore, onshore wind. But solar is playing a very large part of it because of in year on year there's circa 3% fluctuation of the output, so it's very consistent in regards to it, and even the climate that we get in, I'm going to say UK and Ireland, it's consistent year upon year that there's that circa minimal change, and it's dependable in regards to the climate. People talk about, well, I had a real bad summer last year, but that those strong bright winter days and even moving into spring where we are at the moment, solar is, you want to say, generating, and people have gained the confidence in the product works. It works in this space, it works in this climate.
Okay, and I have a curiosity, how are you currently managing variant compliance standards between territories?
So there's a different regulations in the north and the south of Ireland. There's we work with NIE stroke Sony in the north of Ireland. We work with ESB in the south of Ireland, and we work with different network or distribution network or operators in England. So each area has a different compliance regulation requirement, and we're all about understanding those areas and being compliant each and every one of those areas, so that we meet, we don't have any non-compliances, and we pride ourselves on that from any distribution network operator.
Gotcha, gotcha. So, what was the breaking point that made you decide to tackle this problem?
Breaking point is, I always believe someone has to be the big player, someone has to be the small player, and we had an opportunity with Solmatix as a springboard in the market to take it to all new levels. And here, as an individual, I enjoy competing, I enjoy winning, I enjoy the relationship building, and to be honest, it's a very interactive space working in the renewable stroke Solmatix company, where it's very fast flowing from initial engagement sometimes to your on site. It could be days, sometimes there's a long lead in, so you have a balance. No 2 days are the same, and no two routes are the same, so it's challenging all the time. It's not turn up and it's easy. Some people enter the sector and think there's an opportunity to grow a business in the renewables market, and then they realize it ain't that easy because you're limited in the skill set. There's not an apprenticeship scheme that you can go through to be like a qualified electrician. Our team is built up from experienced roofers that then dedicated time to train themselves with our company to be able to deliver and install here upwards of 500 solar panels a day with a team of guys. So we've grew up from putting 6 panels on a roof, 2 panels on a roof, to putting thousands of panels on a roof. So it's fast flowing, and it's very enjoyable. It's can be very busy in regards to the different sectors because we work across the domestic home owners to working on an acute hospital site or a live quarry site. So there's so much variance in regards to who your end user is and your end user's requirements and their restrictions. When you're working on an acute hospital site, and you're maybe working in an A&E area where you need to be able to install panels on the roof, but make sure ambulances are able to enter and exit.
Okay, okay. So, walk us through how Solmatics addresses these challenges. What makes your approach unique?
We're flexible. We're unique in regards to we tackle any challenge head on, and we tackle it in a can-do attitude for that we're there for you to provide a solution, a need, and be able to provide you that product installation in a timely manner. That and we work alongside, get to your elbow, understand exactly what your issues are on your site to be able to install solar PV and work around any barriers that you may have, any time restrictions. Sometimes we have to do a shutdown at a premises or at a hotel in the middle of the night, and we're all about minimal disruption. So it's business as usual for the customer, but we have put thousands of panels on your roof and provided you with a renewable source of electricity.
Okay, right. So, how has your approach to turnkey solutions evolved over your 17 years in the industry?
When we started, we were first of all putting 2 panels of solar thermal on a roof, to today, putting thousands of panels on, as I said, a hospital, a quarry site, refrigerated warehouse. The opportunity in the market has changed, and we have moved with the times of the opportunity, and we have not thought about just going back to the same cheese that's always been there. We have moved with the times of where the opportunity has existed, where the requirement is needed. Regulations has also driven some of the change in regards to planning for new buildings, where a new build has to have a renewable source and a certain amount of renewable source. When we worked in the legislation stroke regulation sector in the new build, I'm going to say apartment block in London, X amount of building space on rooftop had to be assigned to solar PV. Now you see that space growing where the whole roof now is covered with solar PV, and we have adapted to allow that to happen. Where before that roof would have had, as I said, a small amount, 2 panels in the area that ticked the box. Today it's about they see the benefit of it, and how can we put other plant or other items that's on the roof that's taking up space to allow us to put solar PV or other associated plant that's saving the customer end customer that source where the electricity is expensive, and how can we minimize bit like the heat wastage or escape on a building. It's now how do you make that envelope as air sealed and as airtight as possible to reduce the heat costs and everything associated. A bit like the planning now and designing of with architects are very much to get as much of light intensity and solar gain from buildings to reduce that heat input and also electric input.
Okay, okay. And when you talk to potential clients, what's the biggest misconception they typically have about what you do?
Biggest would part would be, does it actually work in the climate that we get here? And as more and more adapt to it, the confidence in the market is growing, and engagement in the market for solar PV is growing and growing rapidly. A number of years ago, where we were a business of less than 10 people, we were turning over between 2 to 3 million. Now we're a business of circa 30 people and heading towards 15 and 20 million of a turnover. And that has been based on customers' trust, engagement, confidence, the market, also associated grants with the carbon reduction plan on the drive together for net zero. So we're all about making sure we do what we say we would do, and the customer experience and the output from the system that we have at the outset said that what we Solmatix can do for you, we have done, and we have a proven track record to be able to demonstrate so.
Yeah, so I have a better one than the previous questions. And how do you demonstrate ROI to skeptical prospects?
So we're thankful we have a strong customer base from Tobermore Concrete to Tesco's to the Lada Hotel Group, that we have demonstrated to them on pure facts we said your solar would generate this, it has actually done that, and we always underestimate to overachieve. So, and very much if some clients have a concern in will my solar actually do what Solmatix said it will do, we openly will say, please talk to X, Y, and Z that have been a customer of Solmatix for 10, 15 years and are happy to say Solmatix arrived at our business back in 2012. It has it has exceeded our expectations, and we've had a long-standing relationship, and we would refer them to anybody, and that's how the customers join our relationships, and we continue to, I want to say, pride in the relationships that we have built over, I'm going to say, that test of time. Always remember you're only as good as your last job, so we keep doing our last job good, we keep the relationship right through to the end. And my phone has many numbers that was once a stranger that we built a relationship with to deliver them a lasting product. I'll have a number of people over each week will ring me and say, now, well, Solmax is going to get a call from X because they reached out to see what did we believe you had installed solar, who did it, and you're going to get a call from a potential customer wanting to explore what solar will do for them. And
Okay.
then we take them by the hand and educate them very much so on the requirements, the regulations, the need, and what solar will do for them. Sometimes it has to be said that solar is not for everyone's application because you may have a heavy amount of your electricity load stroke need is at night time. If you have a production facility or shift patterns where sometimes what you think you would require a large amount of solar for, actually, whenever you get the half hourly data and electricity bills, it boils down to actually solar is a small part, or sometimes solar is a large part, because sometimes that I've had customers that want to go down the line of solar, and whenever we do all the calculations, they realize, well, that's really only contributing. My solar's really only displacing 10% of my electricity demand. For others, I could be exceeding 50%, which they see an automatic, if you want to say, engagement of why were we not doing this years ago, and it's really only been from circa 2020, 2021, where the price of energy changed in the post COVID era, and the price of solar reduced. And the price of solar reduced because the world, in regarding creating solar modules or manufacturing solar modules, has all went down the line of robotics, and it's no longer manual. The economies of scale and the production of them has greatly reduced the price of where solar is, so that every day of the week the end user is benefiting from that and is able to put in a product that will every day of the week give them a return on investment, as long as it's sized properly, of 4 to 5 years and less.
Okay. And because you mentioned that, this comes from my mind. What was the most complex design to maintenance project you've handled?
The building integrated solar that we did on a rooftop on St Mary's College in Dublin, which was done out and looked like I'm going to say a quartz stone, but it was actually on the rooftop of St Mary's College in Dublin, and it was very technically challenging. The building height, the building dimensions, and the aesthetics of the building, coordinating that with an end client and the main contractor, and to be able to deliver that project and get a glowing testimonial with it. So that has been the most challenging. But as I say, working on live environments, where it be a quarry site or where it be an acute hospital, we've done it all. For work from your ground mount to putting a small installation on a domestic home, on a detached garage, to putting on a site which like Tobermore, which is a real long-standing complex environment, on a live quarry site where it has multiple production facilities, and we were able to coordinate around those and maintain business continuity throughout it. And many customers have looked at that site as, I could see how the challenges of that. If you can do that there, you can do that in my one warehouse in an industrial estate relatively easy. So we sometimes take on the hard challenges, and that, you want to say, make us fit for purpose when it comes to easy and rewarding ones. So it's all part of the course.
Yeah. And could you share a specific success story of a client who saw significant results using your solution?
We've had many success stories. It's probably hard to pick one. I think for me, over the time, many years ago, we installed circa 160 schools in the province over a circa 2 month period. And we took that on whenever we were a company growing at the stage, and it allowed us to expand rapidly, and work in that and have that, I'm going to say, core, working in the education sector, and we had to challenge ourselves because we had say 10 to 15 schools to do per week, and we had to upscale at a rate from where we and the nature of what we were working at, and be able to deliver in live school environments. And that for me, us, for it was very challenging in regards to the upscale of the quantity and requirement, because it was part of the tender submission that whenever we was selected and successful in the January of that year, we had to have them finished by the March of that year. And our, if you want to say, demand doubled and trebled in regards to what we were required to, and you were very much at the mercy of being able to provide panels in in the timely period. So you have got to have all aspects of a team, not just installers, but you be able to avail and be able to be provided with panels in a timely manner. But that is all down to, do you have relationships that will play a key part in the delivery aspect of Solmatix.
Yeah, okay. That's great. That's really beautiful. And looking to the broader industry, what key trends are you seeing emerge more?
Battery storage and EV vehicle charging, small scale and large scale. Right, like we're looking at a project here at the moment, which is very much for and the battery storage that we're tendering for at the moment. Uh, on the, I want to say, grid demand. So there's a lot of things happening, going to say, under the surface that no one hears of until that project has been delivered. And there's that's very much items that are happening, that, if you want to say, technology is now advancing, that battery storage is able to provide that, not just the peak demand load or the UPS backup for it, but actually able to stabilize the grid and be able to provide it at when here there's demand on the grid and the grid's not able to support it. So being able to assist that, there's a lot happening in the solar stroke renewable stroke battery storage market. Probably more so now than what there is in the, not to make little of, but the wind turbine space, because solar is relatively straightforward from a glint and glare issue, to be able to, there's no, I'm not saying plan restriction, but it's straightforward. Getting connections for solar on a zero export connection is straightforward. Yes, it's time. It takes time to make applications to the likes of the DNO that you're working with in that area, but at the same time, it's an acceptable method and source today, and recognised. And the renewable stroke generations team in each DNO know the requirements, and the, as I always say to people, solar's modular. It's more panels, it's more inverters, it's bigger panels, it's bigger framing. We do everything from that initial design right through to your structural survey, to your handover, to your, I want to say, your sign off. So from, you could express it as from cradle to grave. I don't like that expression, but that's what we do. It's not just fitting panels on a roof, it's that customer journey. We hold their hand right through from the initial phone call right through to, am I seeing the savings that Solmatix said we would achieve? Yes. And why would I not refer them if somebody asked me, would you use them again?
So, how do you think these trends are affecting how businesses operate in your space?
I think one of the challenges is the skill set and the people and the education in regards to, very much we have all the knowledge and experience has been from a training from within. So it's been able to bring its people's appetite and willingness to work in this sector, because it's very much adaptive and fast, and you've got to be up for learning, trying new things as new products come to it. Look at them, test them. I'm going to say before you provide those to a customer, and not just think that's suitable for application A, that you've been able to maybe try that at your own home and see here, does that is that fit for purpose, will that work, will it do what it says it does. So there's a lot of new applications entering the market, even from monitoring side of things to control, where solar today is consistent obviously in the output, but it's how do you apply it to your business to be able to get the most out of it. There's different items that people are thinking, right, well, it's if I can put on solar here and there's a grant available, how do I also harness more of that with my how do I change how my building is heated and to get me, you want to say, that greater efficiency.
And what do you think most business owners are getting wrong when trying to address this solar PV?
I think it's like everything. It's difficult. Businesses are it's challenging. It's challenging to maintain profitability levels, and overheads associated with businesses increasing all the time with insurances, etc. It's in the solar world. It's trying to, not saying convince, but educate that end user customer. Don't just look at the cheapest price. Solar is all about what it will generate you year on year. If someone, a Solmatix, or someone else is able to say, we are able to do X, this is why we're able to do X, we have chosen this type of panel, we've chosen this type of inverter, we've sized it this type of way, we know we have done it for thousands, we know we can give you these results, but we can't get down to that price because you're not comparing apples with apples with us and others. So don't be led just to the price because it's an investment. Not saying long term, but it's not installing an application and the installation like electrical infrastructure that or installation that allows you to light or heat your I want to say building, or light especially. How do you install it, but you're spending to save, and ultimately be understanding what is the save out of what you're spending.
Okay, makes sense. And what advice would you give to business owners who want to stay ahead of these changes?
I always say look at your energy costs and where and how you're using your energy, and I'm going to say manage, control, reduce your energy spend before you look to the application of how do I reduce my electricity bill by putting in solar. I always think look at how your possible wastage of electricity is. We've installed thousands of homes over the years, and been first hand many times in someone's home and saying, I'm spending X amount a month on electricity, I'm spending X amount a month or per quarter on electricity. I'm thinking, what are you doing with it? And sometimes you find even today, a lot of people, their water's heated very much from their immersion heater, but they don't realise that's a 3 kilowatt unit. It's run for an hour per kilowatt's 30p. That unit to run for 1 hour is costing you the best part of a pound. I know it's not on every hour and it'll be thermostatic controlled, but it's realizing what are the, I don't say, the heavy users that are contributing to your significant load. Understand and control, stroke eliminate them or minimize them, and then look at seeing what is my true data, my real data, and how do I will I offset that with investing in solar PV.
Yeah, perfect. So, as you wrap up, what's next for Solmatics? Any exciting developments on the horizon?
Yeah, next phase of what we're doing is looking at different products in the sector, in where it's off grid, whether it's backup with battery storage as the world transitions to it, on the larger scale EV charging to be that, I'm going to say, not just a renewable stroke, I'm going to say energy provider, is that an infrastructure stroke services company, that you're providing much more than just solar on the roof. It's your energy management, monitoring, and providing you from batteries to, from an EV charger to a battery storage to a solar PV, that you're the, you want to say, that services provider as an alternative source, continuing to lead the industry and where we are and what we are doing, and continuing to keep our standards, safety, quality, to the highest level, because that is where that has kept us in business and at the top end of things over the last 17 years.
Right. Okay. That's amazing for this. And for listeners who want to learn more or potentially work with Solmatix, what's the best way to get in touch?
Get in touch directly with myself, neville.bell at solmatix.com. We have a website, www.solmatix.com, and you can inquire there. We have also Instagram page, Facebook page, a LinkedIn page. You'll see some regular updates that we share. We don't share every day about every rooftop that we're on, because it would soon bore people of onlookers of who we are and who we're working for. So we try to keep it as spiced up as possible, if you want to put it like that, in what we're doing. So we've very many means of getting in contact, and we're happy to help in any way that we can educate, and sometimes just say solar is such a fit for you, and here's why. I spoke to a customer this morning, and he had identified three companies at systems just under a megawatt, and he had very much the pros and cons down of each one of the companies that he was very transparent of, and we were thankfully going to be the customer that he stepped forward for. But he was able to, in his feedback and his selection stroke decision making, was showed me the evaluation panel. Yes, he had hidden out the other companies that we were competing against, which I was thankful of. But it was great to see why Somatics was selected. Yes, we were competitive to be selected, but there was much more to his decision making than that. So it was great to understand that feedback, because I always share that with the team of, how we can learn, how we can do better. And it's very much see it, say it, fix it, and do it, and that cycle of that open transparency of, here we're not perfect, but we keep learning it all the time, and changing and adapting to get better, to do better. And that's how we've grown in this sector and to where we are. But we've not stopped here. It's a lot of people say to me, well, you're never happy. It's not about never happy, it's just here, if you're not pushing forward, you're going backwards.
Yeah, that's right. Perfect. So, thank you for sharing those insights about you, about your company, and thank you for this amazing podcast session.
Thank you.
Yeah, so that's it for this episode. So, see you on the next episode.
No problem.